Picture this. A young girl watching true crime shows with her mom. Just another normal day of learning about staying safe. But no one could have guessed how those shows would end up saving her life. In 2003, a small California town was shaken when 9-year-old Katherine Martinez outsmarted her captor using skills she learned from watching crime shows. This is the story of how a child's quick thinking and incredible bravery led to her escape and helped catch a dangerous criminal. I'm going to tell you exactly how Katherine turned the tables on her kidnapper. And trust me, what she did next is something that even trained professionals were amazed by. But first, let me take you back to that spring afternoon in San Jose. Katherine was walking home from school, just 3 blocks from her house. The sidewalks were lined with blooming cherry trees, and the air was filled with that perfect California warmth. She was thinking about the math test she'd just aced when a white van pulled up beside her. The driver claimed he needed help finding his lost puppy. Now, Katherine had seen enough crime shows to know this was one of the oldest tricks in the book. But what happened next caught her completely off guard. The man didn't just try to lure her. He grabbed her right off the street, in broad daylight. But this is where Katherine's story takes an incredible turn. Because what happened over the next 30 hours would demonstrate a level of psychological manipulation that nobody expected from a 9-year-old. You see, Katherine had learned something crucial from all those true crime shows. Building rapport with a captor could be the key to survival. And that's exactly what she did. From the moment she was taken, Katherine started gathering information. She noticed everything: the route they drove, the sounds outside, even the smell of fast food that told her they were passing through a specific neighborhood. But her most brilliant move? She started talking to her captor about his life. She asked him questions about his family, pretended to be interested in his stories, all while secretly gathering details she could use later. When they arrived at his house, Katherine remembered another lesson from her favorite shows: leave evidence. She deliberately touched everything she could, leaving fingerprints and DNA all over the place. She even managed to pull out a few strands of her hair and drop them in different rooms. But here's where it gets really interesting. Katherine noticed something about her captor. He seemed lonely, desperate for someone to talk to. So she used that. She got him talking about his problems, pretending to sympathize, all while looking for a chance to escape. She kept track of his routine, noticing he always checked his phone at specific times. She learned the layout of the house, memorized the schedule of cars passing by, and even figured out which neighbors were home during the day. The whole time she was playing a dangerous game of psychological chess. She had to appear compliant enough to keep him calm, but alert enough to spot any opportunity for escape. That opportunity came 30 hours later, when her captor made a crucial mistake. Convinced by Katherine's act that she wouldn't try to run, he left her alone for a few minutes to take a phone call. Katherine didn't hesitate. She ran straight to a neighbor's house, one she'd noticed had children's toys in the yard. She knew they'd be more likely to help a kid in distress. But here's the most amazing part. When the police arrived, Katherine was able to provide them with an incredible amount of detailed information. She remembered street names they'd passed, described buildings she'd seen, and even recalled specific conversations that helped identify her captor. The information she provided was so detailed that police were able to arrest her kidnapper within hours. They found all the evidence she'd carefully left behind, exactly where she said it would be. Now, you might be wondering, how did a 9-year-old stay so calm and collected in such a terrifying situation? The answer goes back to those true crime shows she watched with her mom. Katherine later told investigators that she kept thinking about all the survivors she'd seen on TV. She remembered how they stayed clear-headed, how they looked for opportunities, how they never gave up hope. But she did more than just copy what she'd seen on TV. She adapted those strategies to work for her specific situation. She understood that as a child, she had certain advantages. Adults might underestimate her, might let their guard down around her. The detective who interviewed Katherine said he'd never seen anything like it. In his 20 years on the force, he'd never encountered a victim who had gathered so much useful evidence while in captivity. Katherine's story changed how law enforcement thinks about teaching children about personal safety. Instead of just telling kids to run or scream, they now include lessons about being observant and remembering details. Today, Katherine's case is actually used in FBI training materials as an example of how quick thinking and psychological awareness can save lives. They specifically point to how she managed to stay calm enough to gather information while still looking for escape opportunities. But this story isn't just about one brave girl outsmarting a criminal. It's about how knowledge, even from unexpected sources like true crime shows, can become power. It's about how staying calm and thinking clearly can help you survive even the most terrifying situations. Katherine's story teaches us something else too, that we should never underestimate children. Their minds are like sponges, absorbing information from everything around them. And sometimes, that random knowledge can save their lives. The next time someone tells you that watching true crime shows is just entertainment, remember Katherine. Remember how she turned those hours of watching TV with her mom into a survival strategy that saved her life. Remember that knowledge, no matter where it comes from, can be powerful. And remember that sometimes, the best way to handle a crisis is to stay calm, observe everything, and wait for your moment. If you want to learn more about how ordinary people have used quick thinking to escape dangerous situations, check out my next video about the psychology of survival. But there's something even more fascinating about this case that I haven't told you yet. The way Katherine gathered information wasn't just random. She created a system. Every hour, she would mentally note 5 new things about her surroundings. The color of the walls, the sound of traffic, the smell of cooking, the temperature changes, the pattern of her captor's movements. This systematic approach to observation is something that even trained intelligence operatives use. It's called situational awareness, and Katherine came up with it on her own, just from watching true crime shows. Let me break down exactly how she used this system. In the first hour, she noticed the house had 2 stories based on the number of stairs they climbed. There was a distinct smell of paint thinner. A clock chimed every half hour. The floor creaked in specific spots. Cars passed by roughly every 5 minutes. Each of these details later helped police piece together exactly where she had been held. The paint thinner smell? Turned out her captor had a garage workshop. The clock? A distinctive antique that helped identify the house. The car patterns? They matched a specific street near a shopping center. But Katherine didn't stop there. She also started counting. Counting steps, counting turns, counting seconds between sounds. She turned her fear into focus, using numbers to keep her mind sharp and gather even more evidence. Now, let's talk about the psychological game she was playing. Remember how I mentioned she got her captor talking? Well, there was more to it than just making conversation. Katherine noticed something that many adults miss. People reveal their weaknesses when they're trying to appear strong. Every time her captor tried to intimidate her, he actually gave away important information. When he bragged about knowing the neighborhood, He revealed which streets had security cameras. When he warned her that no one would find her, he accidentally mentioned that the nearest house was vacant. This is where Katherine's age actually worked in her favor. Adults often assume children are too scared or too naive to pick up on these details. But Katherine was using every bit of information to build her escape plan. She even used psychology to choose the exact moment of her escape. She noticed her captor was most relaxed right after checking his phone, probably because he was connecting with the outside world and feeling more normal. That's when she decided to make her move. But here's something that wasn't revealed until months later during the trial. Katherine had actually created a backup plan. If her main escape plan failed, she had memorized enough details about her captor to write a note that would lead police to him. She planned to leave this note in the bathroom, knowing that eventually someone would find it. The investigators who worked this case still talk about it today. They say that Katherine's attention to detail rivals that of trained undercover agents. The way she managed to appear compliant while secretly gathering intelligence was remarkable. Let me give you a specific example. During her captivity, Katherine noticed her captor always wore the same brand of work boots. She not only memorized the brand name, but also noticed they were new, with the price tag still partially visible under the sole. This detail later helped police track down where the boots were purchased, which led them to security camera footage of her captor. But this case isn't just about one girl's incredible escape. It sparked a revolution in how we teach children about safety. Traditional stranger danger lessons often focus on saying no and running away. But Katherine's case showed that children are capable of understanding much more sophisticated safety concepts. Today, many child safety programs include lessons about observing and remembering details, understanding basic psychology, keeping a clear head under pressure, creating multiple backup plans, using age to their advantage. The ripple effects of Katherine's case continue to this day. Police departments across the country now use her story in their training programs. Child psychologists study her techniques. And yes, even some intelligence agencies have analyzed her methods. But perhaps the most powerful part of this story isn't about the escape at all. It's about what Katherine did afterward. Instead of letting this experience define her life as a victim, she turned it into a mission to help others. By age 15, she was giving talks at schools about personal safety. But she wasn't just sharing her story. She was teaching other kids the observation skills that saved her life. She showed them how to turn everyday activities into practice for situational awareness. Think about that for a moment. A skill she learned from watching TV with her mom ended up saving her life. And now, she's teaching that same skill to others. It's a powerful reminder that knowledge truly is power, no matter where it comes from. Katherine's story also challenges something we often assume, that children need to be sheltered from learning about dangerous situations. Her case suggests that knowledge, even about difficult subjects, can be empowering when presented appropriately. Today, Katherine continues to influence how we think about child safety. Her case has been studied by FBI behavioral analysts, child development experts, security specialists, psychology researchers, education professionals. Each of these experts has found something different to learn from her story. The FBI focuses on her information gathering techniques. Child psychologists study how she managed her fear. Security experts analyze her escape planning, and educators use her story to teach critical thinking under pressure. But there's one more lesson from Katherine's story that often gets overlooked. It's about the power of family time. Those hours watching true crime shows with her mom weren't just entertainment. They were unknowingly preparing her for a situation she never should have faced. This reminds us that learning can happen in unexpected moments, that seemingly ordinary activities, like watching TV with your parents, can teach valuable life skills. That knowledge, no matter how random it might seem, is never wasted. Katherine's story is more than just a tale of survival. It's a testament to the power of the human mind, the importance of staying calm under pressure, and the incredible capacity of children to understand and apply complex concepts. The next time you find yourself learning something new, remember Katherine. Remember that knowledge from any source, even a TV show, might one day make a difference. Because in the end, it's not just about surviving, it's about being prepared, staying aware, and never underestimating your own capabilities. Want to learn more about how ordinary people have used quick thinking to escape dangerous situations? Check out my next video about the psychology of survival.